sorry. And he starts finding her every day. Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Francis, and I am so happy to be with you guys here today. Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Francis, and I am here today to bring you something that apparently happens every day. A booktuber making a book review. I heard this today and I thought, wow. Bookish Babble said exactly this today, and I thought, well, I'm making a review today. How rare. But this one is actually, might be a bit better, because we have Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451, and I know that a lot of people were a bit more excited about this one, because this one is one of the books that is listed in the recommended reads at American schools, I think. And this book has a lot of history behind it, and I think it will become a classic at some point, so it's really interesting. And you guys know that I am a sucker for books, histories, for the history behind the book, for the whole thing that happened for this book to come into making. And this one has a really interesting story. Ray Bradbury died at 91 in 2012. And this book was actually written like 1940 something, 1950 something, something like that. And it was only published for the first time in 1976, if I'm not mistaken. Which is very interesting, because apparently it was really hard for this book to be sold to an editor. And why? Because this book is controversy. It is a critique to the humankind and the way things might be going, and might have been going for a while now. It was a censorship time. Everything was censored. You couldn't see anything. So this book was like, at some points it went forbidden to be read at schools. And about it, it's very interesting. And I have a really big passion for these kinds of things. This book is a compilation, kind of, a coming together of 5 different stories that he wrote. And this was, I think, his first real novel that he wrote. Now, this book was written, and it's so funny that I just love this stuff. This book was written in 2 goes. And the first 25,000 words in this book were written in 9 days in a rental typewriter in a shared room with a lot of other people that were typing away at a typewriter. And so Ray Bradbury needed kind of an office to stay at and where to be creative at. And so he was walking by UCLA's grounds and he heard typing, and he just went to investigate what it was. And he found this room where you would pay 10 cents to rent the typewriter for half an hour. So he went at it, and he spent $9 and something on writing this book, just renting the typewriter for 9 days straight. He kept renting half an hour until he finished the book. And this book has a lot of quotes, and it's a book about books, so it makes a lot of sense. And it's so interesting because of that. So getting right into the book itself, this book is about Guy Montag, a fireman in a world where books are forbidden, and firemen aren't really firemen anymore. Their job is not to put out fires, because every home is completely fireproofed, but their job instead is to burn every book there is. So when they answer to a call, it's a complaint about another person having books at their house. So they go up to the house, they burn all the books, they burn the whole house down, and they arrest the person who was hiding the books. And so it's like the whole world is enveloped in this kind of ignorance and dormant state of mind, where everyone is just happy for no reason. Everyone is just doing their thing. They don't really think, they just do what they're told. Yeah, they're just... There's a mosquito going around. They're just there. They're like dead already. They don't really think. And what happens to Guy Montag is he starts thinking. That's the reason behind all the burning of the books, is so that people don't know anything, basically. So he starts waking up, and when he does, he finds this young girl that is already awake. She looks at everything. Until now in the world, most of the people just don't look at the moon anymore. They don't look at nature. They don't think about anything. They're just walking around, walking robots doing their own thing. And he finds this girl who actually thinks and who's actually looking at everything and who actually reads, but, you know, it's forbidden, so she doesn't really say it at first. And he starts finding her every day. I'm sorry. In the same corner. Until one day, he goes out to burn books, and there's this house filled with books and a woman who lives inside there, and they go there to arrest her and to burn the house down. But the woman just says, never mind, you don't need to arrest me, you don't need to burn my house down, I will do it myself. And so they soak it with kerosene, and then she lights the match and kills herself with her books at the same time. And Guy Montag is completely terrified by this. He doesn't understand why she would do that for books. And so while they are raiding the house, one book falls into his hands. He brings the book home, and he's completely terrified at the same time. And then the young girl that he usually met in the same corner every day at the same time just disappears, and his wife just tells him that she is dead. He comes into a shock, and he's like completely lost all of a sudden. And so he starts reading the book, and he starts reading and collecting books and hiding them, until it comes to a point when he is just feeling completely sick. He is completely unhappy. He doesn't know why. He doesn't love his wife, who is right there and is just another walking robot. He's just completely unhappy in this world. He goes on to start thinking, what could he do? You know, how can people burn all these books down? How can they be so fakely happy? How can no one really understand what's going on? And so he remembers this guy that he met way, way before all of this, and that he just found weird, who was sitting in a park. People don't really do that in this world, but this guy was sitting in a park, just looking around, just doing his stuff. And when Guy approached him, he like hid something. At some point, he got more comfortable, and they just had a conversation. But the guy never showed what was inside his jacket. The guy actually thinks that it might have been a book. So he tracks this guy down. He finds him, and yeah, it was a book, and this guy is a reader, but he is very scared because he used to be a college teacher, and he was kicked out of college. Every college that had anything to do with books is now shut down. And he finds this guy, and together they kind of talk about a plan to, you know, finish this world, where Guy is supposed to go and copy all the books that they have at hand, make a lot of copies of them without anyone knowing, and then plant them at the firemen's houses. Every fireman house he can find, he will plant books and make a complaint, an anonymous complaint about them. And so this is supposed to turn the world upside down. But something goes wrong, and he is caught because he goes back to work to have everything normal, and suddenly there is a complaint. And when they react to the complaint and they get to the place, it is Guy's house. So his wife found the books and made a complaint. So he gets into a fight with his sergeant, in which he ends up burning the sergeant down with a flamethrower. And then he gets into a fight. He knocks out 2 other firemen because they weren't expecting him to do that. I mean, he is supposed to be arrested. And then there's this other thing that has always been uncomfortable around Guy, which is a hound that is supposed to chase down these people who collect books and find them and you know, kill them and stuff. And he kills that as well with the flamethrower, and he runs away. He's running towards the other guy's house again, and in the meantime he plants some books on another fireman's house, and he runs off there. They discuss another plan for him to escape, which is he will take a lot of the other guy's clothes, and they will like cleanse the whole house of his presence there, and he runs away. He takes some liquor with him, and when he gets close to a river, he cleans himself up, he undresses, he throws the clothes down the river, he passes the liquor on himself to you know, get the smell off. He dresses the other guy's clothes, and he just wanders off down the river, and that's the way he loses his chasers. He gets into a forest until he finds a group of people who apparently are outcasts. They are just running away all the time, and they are professors and people like this that have memorized all the books that they could. As it so happens, Guy has done the same. So they accept him in, and he's like, well, but I don't have anything to give, you know, all I have is one book. I just memorized one book, and they were like, well, we already have that book, inside someone else's head. But if something happens to that guy, we have you. So you just got yourself a purpose. Everything is at war at the same time. It's not just this book war. There's another war happening. That's basically how it ends. He stays with this group. The city where he was is exploded by that war with a bomb. That's his mission now. That's Guy's mission now, to just have this book and pass it down. Now, something else about the book, not only the story is very interesting, and the way that he writes it, it's not slow-paced. He describes a lot, but somehow he manages to make it not slow-paced, which is great. This book is 227 pages, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 227 pages. He has a lot of other books as quotes by Shakespeare and all those classical. Yeah, let's put Mozart in here. He has a lot of quotes in that, and especially, this is so connected to the backstory of the book. Ray Bradbury tells you that he spent a lot of time just running up and down the stairs, getting books from the library, so he could find quotes that would fit the book. There's at some point a very interesting part, which is a quote fight between Guy Montag and the sergeant. His name is Beatty or something like that. But it's really interesting to see how Ray Bradbury just kept running up and down the stairs, getting more books so that he could keep on writing this book. And this book was only 25,000 words at the beginning. He tried to sell it a lot, but he couldn't until he found a magazine to put it on. And then it just stayed like that. Nothing ever came to it again until some long years later, where he was contacted by this magazine editor, and asked if he could write 25,000 words more to finish the novel, and so that it would be published. It would really be published. And it's very interesting because this editor was actually the editor, the owner of Playboy. So, and it was this book, or the texts were first published in Playboy magazine or something like that, in the first issue of Playboy magazine. So you can see how that connects with the magazine style. So this book has so many interesting details and so many interesting stuff, and it talks about so many interesting things. And I feel like this review is a complete mess because I just finished reading the book and I'm so excited about it that I just wanted to talk about it. But try to carve out the words that are good in there. I will, in this review, I will read to you 2 quotes that I found at the ending. Seriously. And I hope they make you want to read the book. When I was a boy, my grandfather died, and he was a sculptor. He was also a very kind man who had a lot of love to give the world, and he helped clean up the slum in our town. And he made toys for us, and he did a million things in his lifetime. He was always busy with his hands. And when he died, I suddenly realized I wasn't crying for him at all, but for the things he did. I cried because he would never do them again. He would never carve another piece of wood, or help us raise doves and pigeons in the backyards, or play the violin the way he did, or tell us jokes the way he did. This is so true. We miss people that pass away, not because we miss the people, but of course we miss the people, but we mostly miss the things they did. That's what we miss. That's what we cry for, because that person, we're not going to get to see that person anymore. We're not going to get to do the same things it did to the world anymore. And that's the sad part. That's the sad thing about death, right? You don't get to do anything anymore. And the other quote is, this is just a description, but it's so amazing. For another of those impossible instants, the city stood, rebuilt and unrecognizable, taller than it had ever hoped or strived to be, taller than a man had built it, erected at last in gouts of shattered concrete and sparkles of torn metal into a mural, hung like a revested avalanche, a million colors, a million oddities, a door where a window should be, a top for a bottom, a side for a back, and then the city rolled over and fell down dead. I can't read it well enough to make it justice. Seriously, I just loved every quote that he wrote himself and that he put in here. It's so amazing, guys. Just recommend it, pick it up and read it. I rated it 5 out of 5 because of this. The one thing I have to point out in this book is that at the beginning you're not used to the writing and you're not used to his way of telling the story. So there are some parts that are going to be really, really confusing, but it doesn't mess with the story. So just read it if you haven't yet. This was a gift to me by my girlfriend. I can't say this enough. She is just amazing. I just have to. Her channel is right down there if you want to check it out. She plays The Sims a lot. I mean, she plays The Sims. That's what her channel is about. Check it out if you like that, and you'll see. You won't regret it. She gifted me this, and seriously, it's so great. 5 out of 5 at Goodreads, and anywhere it would be a max out of max. The only thing I have to point out is what I said before. So go ahead, read it. It's recommended by me. Go, go, go. I did want to talk a little bit about the name thing, because I did change it and I will change it, but right now the YouTube and Google are like, you can't make any more name changes. So yeah, that's how indecisive I am when it comes to naming stuff. When it comes to naming stuff, I am just like, yeah. So yeah. So I did write it down as a pseudo, so it should appear like in between parentheses, books under covers that I want to have now. But you know, the banner is gonna have books under covers. My logo is gonna have books under covers. It's gonna be books under covers everywhere. So yeah, I hope you guys don't get too confused. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this review. I mean, the book is just great. Go ahead and read it. And go ahead and click that subscribe button as well, right down there. And if you liked it, go ahead and click the like button. Comment down there if you have any suggestions. If you have any books that you would like me to read, just tell me about them. I want to hear about that. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for coming by. And I'll see you at the next one. Bye.